Welcome back to Hot Stove. We're leading the league with Mark Feinsand, one of our insiders and writers on MLB.com. He's in studio, so that's why we've scooted over a little bit. Let's talk guys that you think could be candidates for extensions. And I think the first name here is an interesting case because Drake Baldwin, coming off Rookie of the Year, a tremendous season behind the plate for the Atlanta Braves. But what impact, if any, could a potential Drake Baldwin contract extension, what impact could Sean Murphy's existing contract have on any such conversations?
This is pressure because last name is Feinstein. So let's go to work.
So, the Braves have done a really good job of extending their young players. Right now, they've got Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Strider, Harris, Murphy. All these guys are signed through at least 2028. The Murphy contract is movable. It's not like he's making an exorbitant amount of money that a team wouldn't look at him and say, well, there aren't a lot of great catchers out there.
Yeah.
So I think they could move him, but Alex Anthopoulos has done a really good job of bringing those young players in and then locking them up through their arbitration years into free agency. Baldwin fits that mold, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Murphy get moved. Maybe not right now, but end of the year, middle of the year, if a team's really looking for a catcher around the deadline, if they're able to extend Baldwin. Baldwin's under contract under control for 5 more years, so there's not an urgency to sign him. But every year I sort of look at the landscape. Last year we listed 15 guys. 5 of them signed extensions last year. So, these extensions do happen, especially once free agency is done, teams start looking this way.
And you know what? There was such a narrative out there before that young guys are not taking the extensions, but we've seen a flood of it over the last couple of seasons where younger players, like some of the guys you talk about with the Braves and around the league. Why do you think we're seeing that trend now?
Well, I think for some of them, it's a cost certainty of not having to necessarily go prove yourself for 3 years before you get to arbitration. Yeah, right. You're making the minimum for those first 3 years, and if you can give yourself a situation where you know what you're going to make for the next 4 or 5 years, and still get to. And players are also coming up younger. They're still even with these extensions. A lot of them are getting to free agency at 28, 29. You look at the guys who signed last year. I mean, the Mariners signed Cal Raleigh to an extension before his big year. Right? Jackson Merrill signed that long-term deal. Lawrence Butler, one of many guys in Oakland or Sacramento now, who have signed extensions there. So
look at Harris with the Braves, who we started this whole conversation.
Right. So it's not always about the impending free agents. There are some of those guys too, which we'll get to.
You mentioned Cal Raleigh, and let's talk about 2 of his current teammates, Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, part of a fantastic rotation. Just reading the tea leaves, what do you think the possibility of one or both extension in Seattle?
Well, I guess when you look at the Mariners, they've got J-Rod locked up for the next 5 years, maybe more, depending on how his options play out. Cal Raleigh signed through 31. Josh Naylor's now signed through 30.
Jeez.
None of those young pitchers are signed, right? So we've been talking about this. We've been talking about this great young Mariners pitching staff. Wouldn't be surprising to see them try to pick 1 or 2 of them, lock them up. Logan Gilbert's got 2 years left before he's a free agent.
And look at the company that they were keeping, that graphic that we showed, the whip leaders. I mean, this is they are in the elite company there.
Well, that's why it was so important last year for the Mariners to take that bigger step forward, because this window is going to close, because financially it's going to close it on them. Because they all came up together, and pitching costs more than anything in this sport. So to have 4 or 5 of them arbitration eligible, possible free agency years later, they got to start looking at what you're talking about.
Well, that's why Gilbert's interesting. He's 2 years away from free agency. Wu is 4 years away. Some of the other guys are 4 or 5 years away. If you can lock up Gilbert while you're still cost controlled and not even at arbitration with the other guys yet, that would go a long way towards keeping that team together for the foreseeable future.
The next name on your list I think is interesting as we can circle back to the Atlanta Braves because he was a member of the Atlanta Braves organization. He has certainly found a home in Sacramento with the Athletics, and that's Shea Langoliers.
Yeah, so the A's have done a really nice job of locking up this core. They've talked about wanting to have this core together when they get to Las Vegas in a couple of years. You've got Rooker, obviously not a young guy, but a core guy there, signed through 2030. Butler, 32. Jacob Wilson through 33. Tyler Soderstrom, 33. Langoliers fits into that mold, right? 30 home runs each of the last couple of years. Good defensive catcher, core player in that group. fits the mold of guys they were looking to extend to get to that Vegas time. So, him and Nick Kurtz, obviously the two guys you would look at.
Yeah.
Langoliers, I think he's controlled for 3 more seasons, so he's just going to be entering that arbitration phase. Wouldn't surprise me if he's
I
the
know
next
he's
guy
a
they
rookie,
look at.
and he's not on your list, but I would throw Nick Kurtz.
Well,
I would try to.
Well,
The question is, after the year he had, whether he'd be willing to do it right now.
The
Agreed.
interesting thing, though, with the A's, when I look at it as a collective group, they've saved a lot of money where you can sign a Nick Kurtz to his value. Because you saved a lot on Butler. You saved a lot on Jacob Wilson. When you look at it from a collective, they've done a nice job of being able to negotiate those deals fairly inexpensive.
And keep in mind, these deals can be risky. Right, we've seen teams sign young players to deals like this, and then the young player doesn't quite pan out the way that you thought they were going to. If these guys, Butler, Wilson, Soderstrom, potentially Langoliers, Kurtz, if these guys all continue in the paths that they've been on, this could be a really good team in a couple of years.
The Detroit Tigers recently have spent a lot of money after the arbitration case with Tarek Skubal, the big-time money they got for Fromber. Also, they signed Justin Verlander, 1-year deal, but still a pretty significant amount of money. What about Riley Green? Extension possibility for him.
It's interesting. You look at the Tigers' payroll and their roster, they only have 1 player on the books for guaranteed money beyond 2027.
Oh.
So, and that's Colt Keith, who they signed to a long extension as a young player. The Javier Baez deal's up after 27. Skubal's up after this year. A lot of what the Tigers decide to do will just depend on what their future is with Tarek Skubal, whether they think they can re-sign him. The feeling around the industry is that they will not re-sign him. Now, if you're not going to re-sign Skubal, that's a lot of money to play with. Riley Green has been one of those core pieces. Last year, his WAR dipped because of his defense, but he set career highs, 36 home runs, 111 RBIs, career high slugging. This is a guy you build around. And
I like him a lot.
Not surprise me if you look at him and say, all right, let's get him locked up, so at least try to temper
Plus, he was the guy that
Skubal stuff
with AJ and this group that turned it around. That was their high draft pick. That was the flash guy that they got, and they were fortunate to bring through and be able to draft him. And now you've developed him, and now you want to keep that and reward him. If you know a guy from a draft, you have to know his character, who he is. There's so much more that goes into being a franchise guy you lock up. I think he's a perfect fit for them.